Okay, I'll call the January
Recording in
16th.
progress.
Are we ready?
Yes.
I will call the January 16th meeting of the Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission to order. Is there a motion to, let's see, approve, well, first of all, the roll call. We're missing Patrick. Patrick
Not
is
you,
not.
sir.
Patrick is virtual.
We got everybody.
Oh, hi, Patrick.
Hello.
Okay. Please note that all members are present. Approval of the agenda for today's meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion. to
With
approve.
an addition, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, we need to add in
and-
the report.
Item 2 will add the quarterly fatal and, what is it called? The
Major injury report.
fatal and injury report to item number 2. With that change,
I approve. All right. Make a motion.
Tasha moves. Is there a second? There's a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item D, approval of the November 21st minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You were sent the, I don't know what we call it, the standard operating procedures or bylaws of the commission. We actually, it was really the leadership of Alder Stevens, but we put this together just this past year, ran it through, the legal department ran it through the city council. And I think we were probably the first board or commission to have such a document like this. So it kind of outlines how we operate. And one of the things we need to do at the first meeting after the first of the year is to elect a chair and vice chair. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Alder Stevens, who is ineligible to be either. Alder Stevens.
Thank you. All right, so regular business number 1 is the annual election of chair and vice chair. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I nominate Dan Thien.
Any other nominations? Do I have any other nominations? If not, we have one nomination, so it looks like it goes to,
Well, the motion would be to close nominations and casting unanimous ballot.
the same thing you said.
Okay.
Congratulations. All
Got
right.
to take the vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes? All right, the ayes have it.
I need to,
On to vice chair. Do I have any nominations for vice chair?
I would nominate Kasha.
Do I have any other nominations for chair? If not, nominations are closed. Congratulations.
Take a vote.
A vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes? Ayes have it.
Okay.
Congratulations, Sasha.
Thank you, Kasha. And thank you, Alder Stevens, for performing that. Item 2, report of the police department on the fourth quarter serious injury and again, the quarterly fatality and injury report.
All of our major incidents happened in October of this quarter. We had the 2 fatalities that we mentioned in the previous meeting in November. First one was first one is a major injury. The person did not die. That is at Webster and Crooks on 10/13 of 22 at 10:03 p.m. Vehicle was traveling southbound on Webster. Pedestrian was crossing in the middle of the street. The pedestrian was a 55-year-old homeless man in Green Bay. He suffered life-threatening injuries, was rushed to the hospital. It was a hit-and-run accident. There was video of the accident from surveillance cameras from people's houses in the area. We put out reports to the public asking for their help in identifying the driver or the vehicle. We have received nothing that has substantiated any evidence to go forward with the investigation. So at this point, unless other information comes forward, the investigation's closed without identifying the driver or the vehicle. As of December 5th, the victim was in the hospital in Milwaukee. He had gone through 10 surgeries and suffered brain damage from the accident. The extent of the brain damage is unknown. The first fatality we had in this quarter was on October 27th at Mather and Harrison. At approximately 7:03 p.m. on the 27th, a pickup truck driven by a 26-year-old Green Bay man struck a 70-year-old Green Bay man that was crossing the street as a pedestrian. It is he suffered a fatal head wound at the scene. The driver was cited for failure to yield to a pedestrian at an uncontrolled intersection. Speed and alcohol did not appear to be a factor in this accident. It was a dark night and a dark area of the road. The final one that I'm going to speak about tonight occurred on October 30th at Mason on Oneida at 7:40 p.m. At that time, a Toyota Corolla was racing another vehicle eastbound on Mason, approaching Oneida Street. As they approached the red light on Oneida Street, the Corolla ignored the red light and proceeded through the intersection, striking a northbound car that was just pulling forward from the green light. The collision sent the Corolla out of control, striking a sign in the median, causing the left side of the car to strike a traveling westbound vehicle on Mason. The Corolla continued to spin out of control, came to a rest a full block east at Redwood Drive. The driver is a 15-year-old female that fled the scene on foot with her friend, jumped into the other car that they were racing with, and left the scene. They left their friend, a 17-year-old Milwaukee male, dead in the backseat of the Corolla. He died as a result of the severe impact. We put out a media release quickly, and the driver was identified through social media. She was taken into custody the following day, and she's being charged for homicide by negligent use of a motor vehicle. The investigation revealed that the vehicle was traveling 106 miles an hour, less than 2 seconds before the impact, which is 3 times the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit in that area.
Is she going to trial yet?
No, it's gonna take months before they're in discovery phase right now.
Yeah,
So
that really hit the news media. That was a horrific situation.
and there was really nothing that could have been done to prevent it other than her actions. So there's nothing with the road, nothing with law enforcement that we could have done to stop that incident from happening other than her deciding not to be racing another vehicle at that time.
Any questions of the lieutenant?
Looks like
Dan?
there's a bad accident over at our favorite intersection over at Mason and Packerland on the weekend.
Just this last weekend?
Yep,
Oh, I don't, this report's only from the last quarter,
last quarter.
so it would end at the end of the year. I haven't looked at any of the accidents from this quarter yet.
So there was a bad accident this weekend?
Yep, yeah, I was over at Southwest for my son's swim meet, and cop cars had the road blocked, and it was, yeah, it looked pretty bad. I didn't even go past the actual accident, I just saw the fire trucks and all the police closing the intersection and such, so.
Yeah, it's one of those intersections that when you see the lights everywhere, you're just like, all right, I'm going around. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just a bad intersection.
Yeah.
That
That's
intersection
scheduled
comes
for
up a lot.
redoing, isn't it?
There is an improvement project that the county is heading up, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. That's, yeah, it's taking place this summer.
Okay.
Chair, I'll make a motion to receive and place in file.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Want to take the other report?
Sure. Traffic safety plan. In December, we had a total of 305 accidents, no fatalities. 55 of those were hit and runs, and 18 injury accidents. Nothing severe enough to require a traffic reconstruction team. Let's see, we had 23 OWI arrests in the month of December.
Here, guys, use up.
Warnings and citations, 545 citations, 481 warnings for various traffic incidents, and 496 traffic stops total for the month of December. We have increased the number of alcohol enforcement starting in January. Now the Packer season's over with, it's easier to schedule those and get the officers to sign up for them, as they don't have the Packer games to be dealing with. So there's gonna be 5 local law enforcement, alcohol enforcement in Green Bay, along with 2 OWI task force and 2 ticket or ticket enforcements in the county. If you look at the 4th page of that, we put up a speed board, one of our new speed boards that we got. We put it up on Mason Street on the bridge at about Madison, to kind of get an idea of the vehicle, because it records all the data. For anybody that's not familiar with all those work, it records all the data on the vehicles driving through that area, and it runs off of rechargeable batteries that have a solar panel, so we can collect data 24 hours a day. It collects the data from a distance before the people even see that the board is there. It's already collecting their data. It also records if the vehicle does an immediate braking action or something like that. We can also look into that data, so we can determine if people are noticing the speed boards and then taking, pressing on the brakes in order to avoid getting caught with a higher speed. But we've already recorded their speed by that point. So the average number of vehicles an hour is 402. Majority of those are in the low-risk category, 269. But we'd like to see more in the compliant category, people that are obeying the speed limit. So we do know that there is a low risk, which is 1 to 10 above the limit, is about where the majority of people are driving. There are 3 high risk per hour average, and a high risk is 20 miles an hour above, which would be on the bridge, I believe it's 35, so that'd be 55 miles an hour or faster. So that is an area that we want to focus on, is the Mason Street Bridge. And we have 2 new traffic officers coming into the unit, they just started Sunday, so.
Into the traffic enforcement, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well,
but we
you're
have-
still
we have-
low, though, you're, what, at 6?
No, we're at 3.
I thought they added
We have
2.
4, no, we have 4.
Okay.
2 on day shift and 2 on afternoon shift. 1 on day shift has been out for an extended period of time. 1 is about to retire in a couple of weeks.
But you're authorized 6.
No, I think we're authorized 4.
Just 4?
Yeah, I believe 4. And the 2 that are coming in, 1 is replacing 1 that was promoted to sergeant, and the second one is going to be getting a K-9 in the next couple, within the next month or 2. So those 2 are gonna be replaced, and then we'll have a 3rd one replaced when that other one retires, so.
So we're gonna be
So-
low again.
Well, there's gonna be new guys in there, so new blood. We'll get them all trained up and get some heavy enforcement the next month or 2. And hopefully increase the enforcement, so.
Good. Any questions? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to receive and place on file.
Motion to receive and place on file by the Alder, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Teeters, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? The ayes have it. I was remiss, I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting. We have a new member of the commission, Steve Larson. Let's take a minute and Steve, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm a civilian in town, graduated from Ashwaubenon in 2009, Ashwaubenon High School, obviously. I work in the area. Currently, I'm over at Technology Architects. We're MSP in the area. I'm a computer nerd. I'm hearing a lot of things so far that my first reaction is there's a lot of data here that could be useful. So anyway, there's no way to put it. I'm a tech guy, so if you have questions, I'm available.
You're gonna be my best friend. Right, Dave? I'm the farthest from being a techie, believe me.
Okay, yeah, no, and if you ever have any questions, fire away. I mean, you got my email, so.
Good.
We could have used you during COVID, right?
Yes.
That's,
Virtual meetings. Oh, did I hate those.
Yep, it's part of the
Okay.
reason why I got the industry I'm in now, is their demand for it was very well needed around here.
Yeah.
So that's what I have done, so. Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome to the commission.
Yep, I do apologize, I know I missed the meeting on, this was that Monday in November. I got the meeting a couple days prior and I wasn't able to get off for work in time.
Yeah.
So I did rewatch it and it seemed interesting. So it wasn't anywhere near as boring as it was originally. So.
Well, like I said in my email, some of the things we do are mundane, but they're all very important.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Well, welcome.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Thank you. Initial request, consideration, possible action on a request by Alderman Galvin on behalf of constituent Catherine Wolfgram, who would like to address the commission about an incident in which she was issued a parking ticket while assisting her mother out of the car to her condo in the 100 block of Cherry Street. Are you Kathleen?
Yes, Kathleen.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a motion to open the floor?
Motion to open the floor.
Okay.
Where would you like me to be?
Yeah, come on up.
Oh,
here.
come on, just sit down. We're
Okay.
pretty informal. Motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
So,
Second?
Who seconded?
I did. That's it.
Thank you.
Kathleen, thank you.
well, I just want to start by thanking you for letting me take a few minutes to talk to you after hearing some of the police reports and some of the other serious issues. I know that this is relatively small, and yet I know that you're here because you care about all the residents in the community, and I recognize that your number one responsibility is for safe traffic patterns, efficient traffic patterns and all of that. But, so I'll just, as was briefly mentioned, I live at 725 South Roosevelt. If you want to talk about a really bad intersection, that there have been deaths there, it's Mason and my street, really terrible. But anyway, so the experience that I had was back in August, just this past August. And, but it's the block on Cherry, my mother lives in the condo at 101 Cherry Street, which is just between that little street on Cherry, between Washington Street and the Fox River Boardwalk, the river. It's the only residence there. There's a bar at the corner and there's the office, the Nicolay across the street, but it's the only residence. The main exit and entrance is right there on Cherry Street. That's where they come in and out. There are 26 units in the building. My sister and brother-in-law own a condo there also. But a couple of things that are true is that I think all of the residents have underground parking, and that is primarily how they get in and out. They drive in and out. But it's also true that my mother is turning 90 next month. And so thankfully, she is well enough to drive most of the time herself, but she also has many friends. She won't drive at night. She has to go for injections for her eyes for macular degeneration, so she can't drive for those appointments, and some other things, health issues. But just in general, I'm sure that she's not alone. There are many people that need to take an Uber someplace. Maybe it's to the airport. Maybe it's just even for, social engagements, and they're not the one driving. So this is what happened. Briefly, my sister called and said that my sister and mom were going to go to a shop. And I asked if I could go along. Since it was beyond their place, I asked if I could just pick them up. So I went, stopped in front of their door. They were already outside, which is how we always do it. They got in my car and I drove away. An hour later, came back. It's now like 11:30 in the morning. Same thing, they got out of the car, went in there, we're going to go in the entrance. This time, the car's always running when I'm there, but I got out and hugged my mom because she was going away for a few days. So I got back in, turned around, drove home, and 3 days later, in the mail comes a parking citation for $42 something. And there's nothing, I said, well, that's impossible. Where did I get a parking violation, because I really believe in obeying the laws. If I park someplace by a meter and I take my chances and I get a parking ticket, I pay it, because that's what you should do. But finally, we figured out that this is what it was. Well, so long and the short of it is, there were a few things that were rather annoying. One of which is that I was told that I don't know what they're called, the people that give the tickets, no longer have to go up and physically put a ticket on your vehicle because there's conflict or something. So I'm near the river there, at the end of it. Up at Washington Street, they snapped pictures, there are 2 pictures that eventually we were able to find on the site. And it shows my sister standing next, saying goodbye. And so anyway, it was probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that I was there. So, long and the short of it is that a few years ago anyway, there was, near Washington Street, there was a no parking, 15-minute drop-off sign. Well, I don't know what happened to that. Maybe the commission knows. Maybe people were not adhering to it and they got tired of having to give tickets. I would probably guess that was it. But there is no parking anywhere on either side of the street. And so I didn't pay the whole fine. I contested it. I had my meeting with the city attorney, I don't really understand why this has to happen for a city attorney to spend time talking about parking tickets. But anyway, the attorney would not, we talked a very long time, would not give up, or whatever it is. I had to pay, she reduced it to $5 because I was in the wrong. I committed an offense because the sign there says no stopping or standing. That's what the sign says now. And then everywhere else on those 2 sides is no parking. So my concern is, as I've already stated, this does not seem right, that if you live in a building, and especially that there can be, I think there is somebody in a wheelchair there, if at any time this could change for my mom, that she could no longer drive. And I just don't think this is right, that a person there cannot be picked up. If it can't be right there where the door is, because there is a fire hydrant there, I understand that, then somewhere either on the north side of the street or across the street on the south side, it seems that just like at the Brown County office where I drop off my husband and pick him up, there is a no parking, 15-minute drop-off sign. And people come and go all the time there. And it works very well. And it seems like in the very least that should be there on this street. So that's the main request, I guess. And I don't know if this is something, especially with the, I brought up that it seems there should be some provision for handicap And I was told that, no, that has to be through the condo association, putting in a request to not sure where, and they have to pay money to make that happen, but I don't know. The attorney's suggestion to me to pick up my mom, which is, pretty frequently, is that I pull in the alley right next door, even though it's one way going the opposite way. I said that doesn't seem right. Well, that's the suggestion. So, okay. But to ask a 90-year-old person who lives there to walk down in any kind of weather to Washington Street does not seem right. So that is I know it's relatively small compared to some of these other issues, but that's the main thing. I guess the other part, but you probably do not have anything to do with the way that this goes on with issuing tickets, collecting. But I will tell you that as a law-abiding citizen, it really was very upsetting the way that the correspondence came to me. Very demeaning, really harsh, like I committed like one of these crimes that I just heard about. I don't think that anybody in this room or in this community wants residents to feel this way for law-abiding citizens. I really think the tone should be different.
Of the letter?
Of all of it, every step of the way, because I think that you're allowed to contest, so that even that, it should be treated very respectfully. And I just think the correspondence, first of all, the ticket arrived, I think it happened on a Monday. The ticket arrived Thursday in my mail, a little later in the day. It said it had to be paid by Friday or Saturday, I think. So I went Friday at 12:30 p.m. not to pay it, because I wasn't going to pay it. At that point I said, they could take me to jail. I was a little riled up. But anyway, to get some papers to contest it. And then I found out that the city hall was closed at 11:30 on Fridays in the summer. And, I was not a happy camper. But that's okay. So that alone, you can't get a ticket in the mail saying it's to be due on Saturday, late on Thursday, and that to me right there, that's not right. Or else you pay this, or else you pay this.
So the time frame.
Time frame? Yeah. And just the wording of it. I mean, I understand there's probably tons and tons of unpaid tickets, but to make any person feel like it's just a gimme, like I'm gonna, from down at the corner, snap pictures of you from behind the car, as opposed to coming where I could explain, I'm here for 2 minutes and I'm dropping her off, and he or she could say, could you drop them off maybe away from the fire hydrant? I don't know. It said no stopping or standing, I understand that, but there's no place else. And one of the other issues, just lastly, is probably 25 times in the summer, the city of Green Bay must give special permission to completely fill up the entire block in front of the fire hydrant, in front of even the parking garage entrance, with all kinds of vehicles for all kinds of special festivals, marathons, the music nights, the Wednesday night lunch. It's got to be 25 times in the summer. And they fill it up for an entire morning or afternoon, sometimes the entire day. That does not seem right, that we can't have a drop-off 15-minute, but that can happen. Because clearly that could be a fire hazard if there was, I'm assuming, if there was a fire and the fire department can't get in there. And so I guess that there's special permits, that you get special permission. But I think residents that live in a building, pay the kind of taxes that they pay right there, should have the, the privilege of drop-off or pickup.
Okay.
That's that.
I did talk to, go ahead,
Sure,
sir.
I just want clarification. So this is kind of unique for all of us, and the communication's not very clear. So are you asking us to
Oh, sorry.
possibly, no, not you, Alder Galvin wrote it, so. Are you asking this commission to possibly look at the signage and have it changed?
Yes. Yeah, I still paid $5. It wasn't a money thing. I mean, I paid $42. I paid more than that probably if there was a parking ticket or something else I did. But it was just the point of it. So yes, what I'm asking is that it be considered to put, I think that's what the sign was when my mom bought the building, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And my sister and brother-in-law who were pretty involved in the association, don't remember why or how it got removed. But I'm sure that it's somewhere in some minutes. But I don't think that's right. I think somewhere on one side or the other, there should be even if it's a very, for one car, which is what it used to be, just one car space, 15-minute no parking, which implies your car is still running, somebody's coming to pick you up or dropping you off.
Dave, could you pull up a street view on a map?
I did talk to Alder Galvin last night about this issue. We can't do anything about the procedural problems that you ran into.
No.
That's not under the purview of this commission. That would have to be taken up with the Improvement and Services Committee of the City Council, which is something that you might want to approve. Because what I'm hearing is that you're not only concerned about traffic signage, which is under the jurisdiction of this commission, but you're also concerned about how you were treated and kind of the frustration that you had to go through because of procedures of the parking division of the
Which
police
is definitely
department.
secondary. I just
Yeah.
think that the people that work for the city, or however the role is met here, that everybody cares about this being the type of community that we all feel valued, every person. So as a person who I think tries hard to be a good citizen, I didn't feel that way. It didn't feel that way. So, but the
Can I interject?
primary is that I think there should be that should be looked
I
into.
am
Alder
the chair.
Steyer?
Hi, everybody. I'm the chair of the INS committee.
Okay.
So I was here for another issue.
What is, I'm sorry, what is it?
Improvement and Services Committee.
What was my?
So
Okay.
I was waived up by Alder Stevens.
Oh,
So I mean, we can put in a communication and talk about that. I'll talk to Alder Stevens about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could put something on the agenda for our next meeting, which would be a week after, not this coming week, but next week. So whatever.
Would
way-
that time frame work for you?
Oh, I have
We
a
meet at-
picture that looks just like that, only my little black
We
car
meet-
is.
We meet at
There.
5.
Oh, I'm sorry, when?
We meet at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. So,
Okay,
We would like you to speak on that one.
sure.
Yeah, Alder Galvin told me last night, he said, one of the things he would like to look at is the procedures. Do we need
Well-
to train our employees to be a little flexible?
Wait,
Do we change
before we
the
go
ordinance?
To close the floor.
Oh,
well, unless we have questions.
yeah. Is there any questions of Catherine first?
No, I'll just say that this is now back to the main concern. Right where that tree is, okay, so on the side there is an entrance to the bar that's on the corner. Yeah, right there. But right there, now where the sign says no stopping or standing, it was a 15-minute drop-off, just like at Brown County, which serves a purpose, and I don't see any reason why it can't be there. It's away from the fire hydrant. So anyway, I don't know what happened there, but that's where it was. But now both sides, it says no stopping or standing. I think on the other side, it says no parking, if I'm not mistaken. I've already told probably 4 of the residents that I saw being picked up by somebody, or their spouse was driving the car out for some reason. One stopped and got the mail, so they were on the other side picking up. I said, you better not sit there because they'll take your picture. So past that, at the corner, I guess is where the person was sitting. I don't know why they couldn't come down the street and give me a ticket. That would have been respectful. I understand some are gonna be upset, but then they leave and they say, this is it. So that's what should have happened. I could have said, I've sat here now for 1 minute. This is my mother here. She lives here. I'm sorry,
Okay.
now I get it, I can't do it, what would you suggest that we do? So,
Okay.
anyway,
Is there a motion to close discussion and go back into regular session?
I'll make a motion to close discussion.
Okay, and moved and seconded. Okay, thank you very much.
oh, thank you, I really
Appreciate it.
appreciate your time.
One comment,
can
I
still
really
sit there.
do, I really do hope you go and bring this forward, because I didn't even know that they aren't giving you tickets anymore. I wouldn't even know where I was if I did anything wrong, if I got something mailed to me. So I literally didn't even know that they weren't giving you a ticket anymore.
Yeah,
And I also, my significant other's parents live in that building, and we stop to pick them up all the time.
wait, you're, say this again?
The Hohenstein, they're in the
Live-
building, and I
Oh.
stop there all the time. We
Oh.
stop there all
Oh,
the time. So
wow.
am I gonna just have a picture of a ticket
Yes, you
mailed to me
might.
while I'm
The
sitting in my
chances
car?
of it, I mean, I thought, what are the chances that I got a picture taken for 2 minutes sitting there? I don't know, but
Because
I
there's
did.
nowhere else to pick them
There,
up.
no, but see the alley right there where the
No.
truck is? So the parking goes that way, but you can't park there. People
Okay.
pay to park.
Well,
Okay.
we're back in the
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
open
Yeah.
session, or
Thank
closed
you.
session, so,
Thank
thank you,
Thank
Catherine.
I do
you.
have a question for the engineer.
Oh,
This
are you
street
gonna
seems
speak
familiar.
in
Did we
one second?
change that signage recently?
Not
I believe
recently.
so.
Not in my
I believe
time.
it's-
I would say
Next
within the
Wednesday
last
for 5.
3 years, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, the, she's correct, Ms. Wolfram is correct, that there used to be actually one stall here. And, I mean, this street has actually seen a lot of different changes over the year. I can just give you a kind of a brief history on how it's gotten to this point. In 2005, it was reconstructed because Nicolay Bank needed extra land to build that big building that they have right now. It resulted in a 26-foot wide street. So as you can tell, just even from the striping right here, that if you parked a car, there's no travel lane. That is why the actual street is no stopping or standing. There's just no lane width. I mean, it's just like basically parking a vehicle in a travel lane. So, I mean, the city had no choice but to do that, you know, out of the safety of people, you just can't have traffic parked in a travel lane.
Would
So
it
that's
be-
why it was signed that way. And then when at the time Alder Jeffries, was Alder of that district, and she had brought up getting a loading area actually in the area where Ms. Wolfram received her citation, so by the hydrant. That one was kind of obvious because we're not gonna allow any sort of parking activity next to a hydrant, that's illegal. Within 10 feet of a hydrant, you cannot park. So, that one was kind of an easy one. But then another request came not that much after for this spot right here. And that was, in essence, you know, there was a lot of complaints from the residents at the Riverloft apartments, or Riverfront lofts, that, you know, they might have a cable guy come in, or someone just, you know, cleaner or whatever like that, that they needed just one spot because they didn't have anything underneath, because as she had said, all the parking was underneath. So, that's when they allowed that to happen. I know, from my opinion, when I presented to the commission that I was opposed to it, for the reasons I just explained, but, you know, the commission made the motion that they did, and it became a 1 hour, but it was time constrained, so it was like, I don't know if it was 7 to 7, Monday through Friday. There was some sort of time constraint on it, meaning that outside of those time frames, it went back to no stopping or standing. And parking division was having a heck of a time, because people were confused with it. And I'll be honest with you, I was confused with it too. And I could see anyone coming up to it being very confused on it. So we brought this forward, the request by the parking division and Public Works, to get rid of it, because so many people were contesting it, and quite honestly, I was looking at it going, yeah, it is confusing, so let's just get rid of it. So we went back to what it originally was back in 2005, the way it was set up. So that's why that went away. Now, with respect to Ms. Wolfgram and, you know, parking in that alley, or at least doing the drop-off and the loading in that alley, she is correct. It's a one-way southbound alley, as you can see by the sign. But that simply means you just go up one block, go down that block, come down the block, and if she wanted to do that, she could probably, instead of sitting right here next to a hydrant, she could go right next to this wall, unload, and do the same thing. So, I still oppose any sort of a loading zone on this street, just given the narrowness and the trouble that we've had in the past with actually maintaining such a loading zone. People want to load and drop off people, just do it in the alley.
Would it be too much to have a sign there for that?
What do you need to sign for?
Well, right, but I'm just saying that for, loading or unloading in that spot.
It says it. I don't know how much more clear that we can be. This is literally, I mean, I
I
don't know
know
if you
there,
saw it in the
I'm
packet.
talking about on the alley as you turn the
Can you
corner.
do a drop-off sign or a loading sign or, because I would not think I should block that.
Yeah, you're gonna block the alley
It's
too.
an alley.
Ordinances for alleyways are actually, I think, anything that's under, that's less than 18 feet, whether it's a street or an alleyway, is by default no parking, okay? So no
Default.
parking zone is a loading zone. You have, by state statute, which we adopt by city, you have, anyone can load and unload passengers and goods. So that's no parking, do your loading in the alley. It's literally that simple. I
Yeah,
get
this-
it, it's a
this is a
little
tough one
confusing because
because-
people in my alley, but.
Like at the end of that
People know.
alley, it looks like there's a car blocking it, and then I'm confused because the truck is already going the wrong way.
This is private property here.
Okay.
Yeah, it does look like it's coming over onto the street, but the other car could be in motion. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's a static image from,
Right,
from
from
yeah,
God knows
October.
when.
How wide is that alley?
I don't know off the top of my head, but. I'm
Can
gonna
we make
estimate
a traffic go either way?
15 maybe.
You don't-
I don't know the reasons why it's one way, but my presumption is it's probably due to the narrowness of it. I
don't
mean,
think
as you can tell, it looks.
I don't think you
pretty
could get two cars through
I
it.
think you get the delivery
When we're in
trucks
the
coming
Jeep,
through.
I don't think.
Yeah,
you
there's
can
They're
a lot
minor.
of
that.
garbage dumpsters back there and, all that activity that's going on, it's just a lot, so.
I've never been back there.
Dave, can you swing the camera back around looking toward the river? So at the very end of the road there, you've got the entrance for their underground parking, right? So the majority of the traffic there is hanging a right where they're coming out and going away from the river. Is there enough room there on the left-hand side of the street to be able to create one spot for somebody to back into for a 15-minute loading location?
That was brought up years ago. This is actually their emergency access for the
Okay.
building, so like if fire or rescue would have to access, this
Yep.
is actually their emergency access. So because of that, and again, the narrowness, it was denied at
Okay.
that time.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
is-
the same thing.
I mean,
Thank you.
it sounds like everything has been flushed out here, so I think that the best alternative is,
It's
you know,
a t-
whether it's
What,
whether it's contacting the condo association president and just informing them that that's pick up and drop offs are in the alley. And it's legal there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very tight situation, no matter how you spin it. I'd be even thinking, in the past, I've moonlit for Glass Nickel Pizza Company, and it would always be park in the alley right there, just delivery to that building. It would just be come down the other way. So that's why I was saying I believe the vehicle that was down there was in motion. It was just the way the camera caught it for this, so.
The only other question I have is, this really isn't a street, so that like 15, it is, but it isn't. So when you're saying there's not enough room for traffic to get by, when there was the 15-minute parking on that next street, who's coming by? Like,
Yeah,
who's constantly driving on that road that I couldn't just get around them?
But you have a double yellow line, and to go into oncoming traffic
Ah.
would be,
Okay.
What's the width of that street?
26 feet?
So you can't put it in, move that line over?
No, you get two 13-foot lanes, 12 foot is our typical.
So
But
I
I'm-
Since you have one, you would have a 1-foot parking lot.
What I'm coming to believe is that there probably isn't a physical or signage solution to this problem, but maybe we should forward this to iron this or let our two elders take the ball and see if there isn't a procedure that we can take a look at.
Dan, I think it's two steps. Well, that's one of them, I guess,
Okay.
for her, the treatment of how she felt staff handled it.
Right.
But I think what I would make a motion for this would be to have staff draft a letter to the condo association, just informing them procedurally how pickups, drop-offs would take place at this location. And just identify on a simple map or something, and then they can distribute that to their homeowners.
I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
And do you want to add to that?
I mean, that would seem to take care of the issue. Otherwise, I don't know, are we just spinning wheels? I mean, I could talk to Alder Galvin about it as well, but
Okay.
that seems to make sense to me.
Okay.
I
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second?
I know I'm the new guy, so I'm,
That's all right.
yeah.
No.
I wanted to make one comment on something that she said, who's distributing tickets through pictures? It was under my impression
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was under the impression in the state of Wisconsin, I mean, I even feel like anyone, like, taking pictures of a license plate would still fall under it, but I believe like speed cameras, wouldn't that fall under the same thing, or is this just someone driving
Actually,
by? with
I
it?
have an answer to that one,
Okay.
and that's a good question, it does come up. It's illegal in the state of Wisconsin for photo enforcement for speed
Mhm.
and for red light running.
Okay,
But when it comes down to photo enforcement for parking, that is legal.
okay. Are those tickets distributed by, like, the parking enforcement, or?
Parking
Mhm.
enforcement utilities, parking division is a subset of public works.
Okay. I was just curious, because this is the first I've heard of it, and, I mean, like I mentioned, that building, as soon as she was talking about it, I was like, yeah, I know, I've parked illegally over there a whole bunch of times. Like, I just turned around and parked on the other side. I didn't even realize it was an emergency exit, where it's just like,
Right.
I'll flat out say, I've blocked it plenty of times. But this would be at, 11 o'clock at night, so it's
Yeah.
still like,
The thing to realize, and I get it, the whole taking pictures, and it seems kind of incognito and everything, but at the end of the day, and I know, Tom, we've worked with PD quite a bit, our parking divisions work quite a bit. And a lot of it kind of started with the school areas, like the pickup and drop off, and just some of the behavior and threats, and just,
Mhm.
I mean, for the safety of the employees is why that principle happened. And, if you decide to forward this to INS, you'll find out more about that, and be more prepared. And maybe, some of the parking, like Chris Pierlot, maybe show and give the official explanation. But from my experience as traffic engineer, having to work with these school zones and having to, take these requests, give my professional recommendation on what sort of parking zones should be in place, loading, bus, all that. We've found that, there's a lot of really poor behavior on the part of the people receiving. They get belligerent, I don't know if they've ever gotten violent, but I mean, there's a reason that this is done, and it's not because they're trying to trap people and things like that. It's for employee safety.
I can vouch for that, being a code enforcement officer. I'd much rather take a situation like that and handle it discreetly instead of face to face.
Yeah.
Now, we do get a lot of people coming into the police department to pay their parking tickets because they they think it came from us. And I have seen a lot of people come up to the front desk. I haven't heard anything about the tone of the letter being derogatory or anything like that, but I have heard people complain about, I just got this ticket in the mail and it's due today. So maybe there's something with the time frame. I have heard people complain about that in our lobby,
Yeah.
about,
With that, we have no control over
Right.
how the post office and their timeliness of sending these out and the receipt on that. But I do know that when people do bring that up, it's quite frequent that they'll get those late fees waived.
They shouldn't have to. If you can just extend the time, they shouldn't have to come in and fight a ticket they didn't even know they got that just randomly showed up in the mail. 'Cause
Well, maybe
that's-
that would be
that's a tough
good
line.
discussion then at improvement service
Yeah.
on maybe
I know I
is
get
there a different
pulled
way
in
to do
eventually.
this?
There is a motion on the floor to
yeah.
ask the traffic engineer to send a letter to the president, I guess, of
Condo
the
Association president.
Condo Association,
Yep.
informing them of the proper procedure and the availability of parking in that alley. Is there, and there is a second, right? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. Guys have it. And Alder? Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we make can we make an adjustment to this and move number 7?
Yeah, that's on my, I have a 6 o'clock meeting.
I have
Oh.
a 6 o'clock, I need to go to. Are you going downstairs?
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take number 7?
Or you-
Next.
Motion to change the.
Is there any objection to moving number 7
No.
after number 4? Okay, number 7?
Aye.
But, by the way, this does present a problem of procedure, though, that I would hope that your committee would take a look at.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
If you wanted, I can talk to Alder Stevens about it, if there's some directive that you'd like me to pursue with that. I don't know, did you want to make a
Well,
motion to that effect, or?
well, no,
I don't know if
I'll
you
just,
can.
what I'm hearing is that there's a concern about the
The tickets,
the
the
time
timeframe.
from getting a ticket to having to pay. And then secondly, is there some sort of flexibility that could be put into place, some sort of training, which was suggested by Alder Galvin, because of a situation like this, where a lady was just saying goodbye to her sister and got clobbered.
Well,
I
correct me if
agree.
I'm wrong, can't we make a motion to refer this item to INS with our recommendation?
You could do that.
Okay,
Just-
you
I
wanna
think with
make
the
that motion?
time frame though, I'll be honest
I mean,
with you,
it's only
because
1 week.
the way that we report out to traffic, because tomorrow is actually common council, we don't meet on the schedule like the committees do, like the week before. So we won't be reporting out until February, and then, you know what I mean, with the time delays, it's probably quicker for an alder, whether
Oh,
it be
yeah.
Stoyer or Galvin, to actually just make an official request
Okay.
through the clerk's
Why don't we
office to
just
approve
go
that
that-
service, that would be
that route?
quicker.
I will put in
Good
a
idea.
communication tomorrow, and I'll make sure that the wording is such, and I'll bounce it off to you.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yep, thank you, Mark. Okay, number 7. Initial request, consideration with possible action on the request to change the two-way stop condition on Westfield Avenue and Murphy Drive to two-way yield condition. I did get a call from County Supervisor Pat Evans on this as well. Okay, Alder, do you want to take this?
You know, Alder, or I mentioned Supervisor Evans brought it up to me. He and I live on the same block, so we discuss a lot of their things in our district. I live about a block away from there, and I travel by there quite a bit. I guess my first reaction was, is that totally necessary? There was a citizen that brought it forward to Supervisor Evans. He brought it up to me. I just more or less wanted to hear the discussion. I'm not dying on the vine for this. You know, I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback, and then I probably should have talked to you ahead of time on it, but since I'm here, you know, we could just talk about the feasibility of something like this happening.
Okay, Dave, do you want to
Sure.
talk about this?
Sure, well, if you look at the screen, this is actually more of a zoomed out area of the intersection. So you can see it's in somewhat close proximity to military industrial.
Is Commissioner Sorrell able to see this?
Yep,
Yeah, I'm sharing the
Okay.
screen.
yes.
Thank you.
So if we zoom in a little bit, you'll see it's just your standard traditional residential intersection. And I do have some photos. Unless they're closed now. Maybe they are. Let's just go back. There we go. So I took these. This is actually westbound looking to the south, so you can see a Spiro is in the background. So you can see the sight lines are really good this way. This is looking to the north. Again, you can see sight lines are really good. And on the other side of the street, so eastbound, then looking to the north. Again, good sight lines. And the last one, again, looking to the south towards the Spiro. Again, really, really good sight lines. honestly, and I looked up crash history, that we got nothing there. So, I mean, could it function as a two-way yield? Yeah, I think so.
Would there be any advantage to changing the
Well,
signage?
I guess the one thing I remember from the email from the constituent was that he said there's a lot of people that run the stop sign. So
Right, anyway.
if you have a yield sign and at least they're slowing down and looking, then they're at least not breaking the law. So in an area where we don't have any crashes, and you get, I mean, these are ideal sight lines, honestly. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, you don't have any of the terrace trees or anything really that you have to look around or anything, so. I really don't, I mean, I'm not, kind of like the older, I'm not gonna live or die on, this isn't the hill I'm gonna live or die on, but at the same time, I think it would function just fine as a yield, as a stop.
And that's the problem with citizens, they have a tendency, not all of them, but I've observed enough where people roll through stop signs, you know, so.
They
When a
would probably
yield,
go through a yield sign too, wouldn't they?
well, they would, but, you know.
Me
it's-
coming from the other direction wouldn't think they were stopping them
I mean,
if it was a
Murphy,
yield.
Yeah, but if you're
Murphy
pulling
has a
up to it,
tendency
seeing
to
the
get a lot of
ones-
a bit of traffic, you know, as far as coming off of Dousman. So that might be one thing too.
Do we have traffic count data on this, Dave?
No, it's pretty low volume. The one thing that you'll find with yield conditions, and to your point, Kasha, you know, is someone gonna be just blowing through it? People, I mean, most of the people that are using this intersection they live in the neighborhood. It's not like you got a bunch of pass-through traffic on this road. What it does is it actually makes people a little bit more aware. They're like, oh, there's a yield sign there, and sometimes people don't always, you know, come to stop. And the one benefit as a side effect, if you want to call it that, it actually helps slow speeds down in neighborhoods. Because people just, they're forced to be more aware. The people that are law-abiding road users are kind of like, you know, they're a little bit, I don't want to say on edge, but it's like, they're just a lot more, they're hypersensitive to driving, and it actually does have a tendency to reduce neighborhood speed. So I don't know if that's been a complaint on this road, and if so, this
I
actually
haven't.
could maybe help it.
I haven't gotten any complaints at all on this. Like I said, the constituent brought it up. You know, I have more issues with where Boland comes in right off the military, you know, the traffic all over there. That's another issue I'd like to bring up sometime here and talk about, but that's another issue.
What is the pleasure of the commission? Because I know we have two elders that need to go to another
I'm
meeting.
gonna make a motion to change it to a yield sign.
Can I just ask one question before we do that? I'm sorry, what was the intersection again? I'm just wondering about the walking routes to school and if that would,
Westfield and
Westfield
Murphy.
and Murphy. But you have
So
the
it'd be Helen-
Spiro is over there, but
That's
that's
not-
mostly, that's
not
something
walking
bus.
school, though.
That's
no.
bus.
Could you go back to
Helen
the
Keller
map?
would be the closest
Helen
school?
Keller, but, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Keller is
Over
on,
Bond.
That's
yeah,
far
it's
down.
on Street. Zoom out, so,
Yep.
yeah, Keller is a piece
Yeah,
over.
okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it would really interfere with
No.
school trip, walking routes.
Could you do a 90-day trial?
They,
We'd have to.
Oh, we'd
they
have
go on
to.
a 90
Yeah.
You could do a 90-day trial, just see how it works. The neighbors go, oh my lord, what are
Yeah,
we doing?
let's do
Yeah,
that.
we'd flag it too. I mean,
Yeah, let's
anytime we
do that.
change intersection traffic control, we know it's a, you know.
Okay, there
things
is a
could happen, So we
motion.
flag it.
For a 90-day trial for a yield.
Is there a
sign.
second? Second by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, alders.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Dan, do you want me to talk to you then? Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk.
We'll talk. Okay, sounds good, thank you.
We're not leaving the building, we're going downstairs.
Well, come on back and visit. Okay, item number 5, initial request, consideration of possible action on the request of the traffic engineer. Oh, this one's gonna die for sure. On behalf of the Green Bay Area Public Schools to establish no parking bus loading, only 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. school days zone on the west side of Chestnut Avenue from a point 70 feet north of Dosman Street to a point 290 feet north of Dosman Street. Okay, Mr. Engineer.
I don't think I'm gonna say anything because you're just gonna turn it down.
Well, you might get lucky, you know.
Yeah. This is actually it's on behalf, I mean, I'm bringing it forward because the school district, it was one that actually approached me on this. So Chris Collery is our safety and security manager. So I work with him a lot on different school items, including parking. But anyway, he was the one that wanted to bring this forward, and so I offered him, I said, let's just go out and see it, let's watch and observe the type of situation that you're concerned with. And so what happens in this area is they have 3 buses that'll come in, but where the sign is kind of up in this area where you can kind of see where the sidewalk kind of comes in over here. They'll actually load in that area, so they wanted to basically keep enough room in there so that bus can pull in. Sometimes there'll be parents will park up a little bit too far south, and then that bus can't get into that area. So in the wintertime is actually when it's more critical, when there's snowbanks to have to work around, but, you know, of course, their buildings grounds people will clear that curb area.
So where do the buses queue, Dave?
They queue all in this area. So from a,
I'd imagine a large embankment sidewalk.
so yeah, from about this point where the hand is right here, all the way, they'll actually use this drive apron too, because there's no activity
rope
that's
it off.
happening, that's all just school staff that uses that.
Okay.
As you can tell, I mean, there's really not that many spaces there too. But they'll use those actually to help with the loading, so they'll actually load in those 3 areas. And then there's a no parking here in the corner, that's 70 feet is. So that just opens it up so that, you know, they can, left turning traffic, right turning traffic at the intersection. So, yeah, I saw it, we actually observed the condition that he was concerned about, and so I said, yeah, I agree, I'll bring it forward.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll
Moved
second.
by Lieutenant, and there is a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You got lucky, Dave. 6, initial request, consideration with possible action, the request of the traffic engineer, oh golly, here's another one. To change the no parking 15-minute loading zone on the south side of Cherry Street between Washington and Cherry to metered parking.
On Cherry, between Washington and Cherry.
Yeah, so I just zoomed the mapping in over to that area. So this one has to do with, I'm sure as many of you know, Boss's Tobacco Newsstand.
Oh,
that
sure.
They moved.
Yeah.
They moved to Pier.
Now,
And
that was no parking in front of there, right?
it was a loading zone, actually.
Okay.
It was a 15-minute loading zone for the longest time, actually, but now with that being vacant,
But isn't that building going to be torn down and
It's gonna be made into apartments.
apartment complexes going in there?
there is, I know that is moving forward, but, you know, by the time that that's actually opened up, it's probably gonna be 2 years. I mean, you know, but there's a lot of work that needs to happen. You got a building to raise, you got a multi-story structure to build. It just takes time. So, I did talk with the alder, and you know, so he's aware of it, that we're bringing this forward. And of course, you know, talked to the director Grenier too, and everyone is, they feel that that's what should happen. I mean, this actually came up because Jeff Merkis and Alder Johnson had actually brought it up in some emails about we should really do something with, you know, the loading zone is not really applicable anymore. It was really there for people to come in, grab a newspaper, and leave.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to change to meters.
Yeah, I'll second on that.
Dave, how many parking spots are you gonna get there? Is it,
Actually, we already have it, we had it ticked off.
It was already striped?
On there, yeah, even for the loading area, so it's 4.
okay. And then that's gonna be that entire stretch of the building?
It's really, there's a no parking here to corner as well. Actually, I think if you, let me just, yeah, we can just go look at it on the street. You can see that there's, starts right here. See the green sign? That's the beginning of the zone. So there's stall 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then you can see there's the Sharrow marking, and then the right turn lane then to go onto Adams Street.
With the, apologies.
Sure, no, go ahead.
With the planned apartments, give or take the 2 or 3 years out, have there been discussions about what would be happening with
Not
them?
at this point.
Yeah, I
No.
know it'd be extremely, I mean, building's still there, hasn't been
Right.
raised yet.
I
so.
mean, at the end of the day, we do have this time, really 2 to 3 years. it is our downtown area, we have high demand,
Yep.
and now this is really kind of wasted area. I mean, it's an
Yeah,
area
sure.
that, we have meters that's surrounded on blocks.
Yeah.
And to me, this opens up 4 spots that, you know, especially on the weekends, I mean, it would be, well, weekends would be free, but our downtown gets, those meters get a lot of activity. So,
Sure.
I mean, this really just adds 4 spots to the downtown, so I think it's a wise move to do.
There's one who just got a ticket on, around the corner there, I realized that. I was at a county meeting, for Christ's sakes.
Was it put on?
Okay.
Sorry, was it not?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Is there anything else for the good of the order to be brought up tonight? Other than the fact that we will be meeting on Monday, February 20th.
Just a quick question, Dave.
Yeah.
Did that request to talk about the traffic calming procedures and process, did that not make it on the, obviously it didn't make it on this agenda.
Right.
What happened with that one?
I typically wait for communication to come in. I guess I'm probably a little unclear on how that would get on the agenda. I mean, is this something that you're requesting staff to put on, or is this something that you want to have as communication from you as commissioner?
Well, I think there was enough interest with the group last time that if it's possible for one of us to make a request to have that as an agenda item, I can certainly do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
An official communication is really the way we should go with this. Not only be documented, but I as staff don't know exactly what you're asking for. So if you would, just send me an email. Just say, can you put this on the February agenda? And just have it phrased on how you want it read, and we'll address it the next month.
By the way, for your information, Steve, most of our requests go through alders. So if you hear a complaint of some neighborhood issue,
Yep.
tell them to go through the
It's localized
alders.
from an alder
Yeah.
who's brought it forward to the table. Oh,
Yeah.
that makes
But
sense.
sometimes commissioners themselves, like Dan just made, make a request. But routine issues, we generally have them go through the alders, because then that involves the alders, they know the issue, and they kind of
Yeah, they've
sift
got-
through it and see if it's a legitimate thing before
Yep.
they put their name on it too.
Yeah, being the alder in the area, I mean, you know, someone would have better insight on something specific, such as changing a pair of stop signs into yield signs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
living up the street makes a big difference.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay.
that's right. Is there anything else to come before the commission? Is there a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay, the ayes have it. Thank you all. And again, Steve, welcome.
I'm gonna nay that one
Happy to
time,
be here.
just to,
Just nay.
just to have it on record.
No, I don't want to leave.
I'll still
Okay,
lose. The
Recording
eyes will
done.
still carry.
it's supposed to get slippery out there in the next day or two, so
Well,
drive
probably by the
safely.
time we leave.
Yeah, I don't wanna
the
have to
temperature
read.
drops.
Well, you guys in one of my
Thank you,
reports.
guys.
No.
Harvey finds it quite fascinating.